All right, so welcome to today's Info2Go webinar. My name is Annie Gaines, the CE consultant at the the Idaho Commission for Libraries. Welcome to today's webinar, sponsored by the Institute of Museum and Library Services. So it's my pleasure to hand over today's webinar to our presenters, our very own Dylan Baker and William Lamb, who will be talking to us today about the emergency broadband benefit.
Thank you, Annie. Yeah, this is Dylan Baker here also at the Commission for Libraries, and I will go ahead and share my screen here as we get underway. All right, got to pick the right monitor here. Always a challenge. Let's make sure I got the right one. Okay, hopefully you're seeing my slides. Please tell me if you're not. Okay. Fantastic. So yes, Dylan Baker here at the Commission for Libraries. So glad you're joining us here today to talk about EBB, the Emergency Broadband Benefit. I am the e-services program supervisor here at the Commission, which is really a fancy title for saying I oversee our kind of internal and external technology related staff and opportunities and programs. I've been here a little over 4 years, and I am joined today here for this webinar presentation by William. William, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks, Dylan. So my name is William Lamb. I'm the library technology consultant here at the Commission. I've been here about 5 months now. Prior to that, I was the director at Mountain Home Public Library, where I was also the IT person for 20 years. So it's my pleasure to be here with this group that is at the Commission. They're amazing and looking forward to this.
Awesome. And we're so glad you all joined us today. We're going to talk a little bit about the emergency broadband benefit. And the slides you're seeing here, these were taken from some of the outreach toolkit, which we'll get to later in the presentation. So if there are any mistakes or errors, it's not our fault, it's the FCC's fault. But we're going to run through these. William and I will give you kind of a good overview, hopefully, of what the emergency broadband benefit is, who's eligible, how households can apply. And our audience really here at the Commission for Libraries, we're hopefully talking, I mean, we're open to talk to anybody, but we're really looking to talk to Idaho library staff, anybody who works in Idaho library. And although the emergency broadband benefit is not direct funding for libraries, it is something that libraries definitely can help folks access. So that's what we'll get into here. Please, as Annie alluded, use the chat box. If you have any kind of questions, feel free to jump in at any point. I think Annie's going to be monitoring for that for us. And we'll also have a time at the end too. So whatever works easier for you, whether you want to put your questions in as we go or want to put your questions in at the end, either way works for us. The actual presentation part without questions, I don't think will take us more than 20 minutes. So maybe you'll get out of here early, or if you have questions, we have lots of time to talk about those. So anyway, we'll go ahead and jump in here, and I will hand it over to William to talk about what is the emergency broadband benefit, William?
So the emergency broadband benefit, or EBB, as we like to call it to make it easier, is a temporary program offered by the FCC. It was created in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Congress appropriated $3.2 billion to provide discounts on monthly broadband internet access to qualifying low-income households. Those low-income households can get up to $50 per month for internet and modem rentals. If they live on tribal lands, they can get up to $75 per month for internet and modem rentals. Additionally, qualifying households can get up to a one-time discount of $100 for a laptop, desktop computer, or tablet if they purchase it through a provider who is participating in the EBB program.
Yeah, that sounds great, and pretty good benefit there for those who qualify. But now you're probably wondering, who qualifies for this benefit? Who can get this extra discount? And what we're looking at here is there's several eligibility conditions that they've made for this. It's open and available now, but there's a few here on this bullet. There's a lot of words here. I'm going to try and summarize for you. First is if they are, if someone is below the 135% of the federal poverty guidelines, which currently right now, that is a little over $17,000 for a single person household, and for each additional person, you add about $6,129 to that. So you can calculate. They have a chart that we'll get to later that you can take a look at for that. Or if they already participate in a program like SNAP, Medicaid, Lifeline, all of those are automatically eligible for this program. College students that received a Pell Grant in the current award year are eligible, so that's pretty great. I mean, if you work at a university or something like that, maybe a lot of students who've received a Pell Grant, they're automatically eligible for this for their home internet access. Younger students, K through 12, if they receive benefits under the free and reduced school lunch program or breakfast program, either in the past a couple school years ago, or this one that just ended, they're eligible. And that also includes schools that participate as part of the USDA's community eligibility provision. So that might be like a whole school district that is covered. And if that case, wow, that's a lot of people you could reach. And then also folks that experience a substantial loss of income due to a job loss or furlough since the end of February of 2020, and then had a household income of just below 100,000 for a single filer or just under 200,000 for a joint filer. And really the documentation they're looking for there to see if you had a substantial loss of income is something like a layoff or furlough notice or some proof that you're applying for unemployment. And then if you just meet the eligibility of a provider that's participating in this program's COVID-19 or low income program. So lots of ways to qualify here. There's a lot of bullets here to keep track of, but you can see this could be quite a few people that could participate in this. But another thing this is a federal program, so you need definitions for things. What exactly is a household in terms of this program? The household in their terms is basically just a group of people that live together and share money. So that's any adults that share in the income and expenses, and then any children under the age of 18. You could have multiple households living at the same physical address, and each of them would be eligible. So that's something to consider. And also, when I went over those qualifying conditions, if someone participated in anyone is eligible in the household, then they're all eligible in the house. So you have a student that's on free or reduced lunch, whole household is eligible. One person in the household, an adult, is on Medicaid, they're eligible. So you only need one person to qualify for that. I see a comment from someone in the chat, Helen. Can the loss of income because the breadwinner died of COVID? I would presume so. I would say that that's probably an eligible substantial loss of income. So definitely keeping those people in mind and helping them access this benefit would be great. So that's kind of the definition of household there. And multi-unit dwellings, another category. So things that are apartment buildings, nursing homes, those are also eligible. Depends on whether the multi-unit dwelling is going to have a single landlord or property manager that takes care of all the internet connections. They could probably take care of it for everybody. Or if individuals in that area are paying for it, then they could still do it as well. So definitely broad term definition here of household for the most part to keep track of. People who live together and share finances. But I'm going to pass it over to William to hit a couple of the additional details because it's a federal program. Of course, we have to have a few more details here.
So enrollment started May 12th, so it is currently open to anybody that is eligible to participate. And it will remain open until all the funds have been used. Like I said, there's $3.2 billion going across the whole entire country. So there's no telling how long those benefits will be used. So we would encourage anybody that is eligible to apply sooner than later. Or 6 months after the Department of Health and Human Services declares an end to the COVID-19 pandemic. This service program is being administered by USAC, the Universal Services Administrative Company. As we all mostly know here, USAC is also the administrator of E-rate and the Lifeline program. To ensure that households do not receive sticker shock at the end of the program, all participating providers must notify the household that their program will be ending and the date that their discounts will stop. Additionally, they are required to notify what the cost of the service will be moving forward if they decide to move forward, and all households must opt in and verify that they want to continue after the EBB program has expired.
Yeah, that's a great provision there that, like you said, sticker shock, and that somebody's not going to get saddled with a bill when the program runs out of money.
Yeah. For participating providers, the program is open to all providers that wish to participate. Not every provider in our state of Idaho is offering service under this program. As we found, there are some cities that have limited access or only one provider that is providing access to this program. The provider can be anything from fixed providers like CenturyLink to SafeLink Wireless to mobile providers like AT&T and T-Mobile. One thing to really keep in mind is that not all providers in the area will be also participating in the device function of this program. So some providers may only be offering devices and no internet access as part of this program. There are ways to search for providers for your area, and Dylan is actually going to give us a quick little overview of that.
Yeah, thank you, William. So there's a couple. That first one that's on that slide there, that FCC/broadband benefit. There's a couple ways to search here. This one is USEC's tool, USAC's tool to search by zip code. And it is kind of dependent upon what information the company has provided. Not every company provided specific zip code data. So if I plug in a zip code here, I'm going to plug in, this is the zip code for the Idaho Commission for Libraries, do a quick search, and order companies random. It's going to show me several that I don't believe actually provide service necessarily in this area. They might just be providing service to other areas of the state. That's just because they didn't provide full zip code. So caveat to when you search this list to see if your area is provided, when you punch in your zip code, you're going to have to do a little of your own sleuthing perhaps to know your area and know whether a provider actually is in servicing your area or can service your area. There's another list here that is available through the FCC site that provides just the whole list of the entire state. So again, it might just be similar to what that zip code search does. And it's going to tell you again whether what their service type is, fixed or mobile, and then if they're operating devices. So for Idaho here, for instance, there's quite a few listed. Some of these though are, pretty small local places that are only going to serve a particular area of the state. So again, you're going to want to look a little bit. Now, providers, I believe, still can sign up with the program as long as it's open. So if you have a relationship with a provider and you're wondering why they're not on the list, feel free to reach out to that provider and ask them if they'd be willing to participate to get somebody in your area to sign up. So we've got quite a few listed here for Idaho, but again, it's not comprehensive at this point. So anyway, a couple places to go look, and William's posted in the chat there for you to find both of these links to go start looking for providers that can serve your area. So that, I'm going to switch back to the slides here. And next question, how do you enroll? So you've identified somebody you can help with that they qualify or you think they qualify, and hopefully there's a provider, at least one, if not more, in your area that can provide. There are 3 ways to basically participate in the program. And we're going to go through all 3 ways here to give you an idea of how you can help people reach this program. First is contacting the provider directly. So some providers have an application process that someone can jump in through directly. Again, you can find the list of providers like we did just before. And then the service provider themselves can assist the consumer or can have an application on their website to do that. So there's a couple examples I want to give. And again, I'm not singling out these companies per se, just not endorsing them or anything like that. I just want to provide a couple of examples of providers that you can work with in some unique ways. First is T-Mobile, the mobile provider. They have a program specifically for libraries through EBB, through the emergency broadband benefit, that they have one available just for normal people to sign up with, but also available that if a library wants to be kind of the distribution point, T-Mobile is willing to provide devices for folks. And that's not even using the device $100 subsidy that William mentioned before. That's just T-Mobile providing the device, but it has to go through a library. So there's a couple of hoops that way that, basically the library acts as the sign-up station and receives the devices, makes sure the patron is eligible, gets them signed up, connects them, and then provides them with the device. And then when the emergency broadband benefit program ends, the library can decide at that point either to gift the device to the patron to let them continue having it, or to request the device back and then work it into some kind of other library inventory or checkout program. So it's really kind of an interesting program. There is a little bit of, hoops to jump through, more than just helping someone sign up for EBB. The library really kind of has to partner a little bit with it. But we have, William's posted in the chat, there's our Idaho government account executive who you could reach out to, or reach out to William Ryan. We can provide you with a little more information about that T-Mobile program that's specific to what T-Mobile is offering as a provider. Another one, just for an example here, kind of throughout the state, we have Sparklight Cable. Here's an example of their provider sign up. So they have on their webpage something about the emergency broadband benefit directly for their customers. And William's posted a link here, and it gives a little explanation for folks, and it tells them how to fill out their form. And they've got some plans listed below. So this is an example of if you've got somebody, or there's only one provider in the area, or they already want to stick with a certain provider they've wanted to choose, the provider may have a sign-up process. Again, I don't know if the smaller providers will have this, but some of the larger providers may have provided a direct means basically to sign up. And you can see here are some of the plans they're offering through the emergency broadband benefit. So again, not endorsing Sparklight or T-Mobile, just giving you some options there to consider. So that's signing up through a provider. Again, not going to work unless your provider already has the sign-up process. So the next two we're talking about are probably more likely of how you're going to be helping folks. First is applying directly online. This is a great place for libraries to come in because, again, we provide people with devices and internet access. They come into the library to use the device, and you can walk them through the steps, as many libraries do, providing that kind of tech support for folks. So just go to getemergencybroadband.org. Nice, easy to remember website. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff there about how to apply. And I believe I've pulled this website up as well. So this is getemergencybroadband.org. This is what they're going to see. You can walk them through it. And it's going to provide some of that general information. What is it? A little video about it. And then they tell you, here's the 3-step process, basically. See if you qualify. Here you can apply for it, and then provide the provider. I think those steps are a little out of order in my mind. I would actually make sure there's a broadband provider around before you go through the whole application process. Because again, that's not universal. Every provider is applying. But once they've gone through that, there's this online application process. They click apply now, and it will walk them through basically what's called the national verifier that will help them try to verify that they are eligible for this program. And that may be providing documents. If they're already part of the program that has kind of an online sign up process like Lifeline, it may just be automatically able to verify them, or it may take a day or two depending on some documents that have to be provided. So again, it's an online form. I think libraries, we're pretty comfortable with helping people who might need assistance walk through filling out an online form. But you can certainly go take a look and provide those. There's different ways to provide identity verification. And a thing that I've seen stressed in a lot of places too is that, someone doesn't necessarily need a driver's license. They don't even necessarily need you don't need a social security number. And this is not going to be tied to something else that might get people in trouble elsewhere with the federal government. So really encouraging folks to participate, that it's not going to get their name on some sort of list that will get them in trouble if they're having other concerns. Anyway, so that's the online application method. And there's definitely, and that getemergencybroadband.org website does have some more information there about how to do that. But William, will you talk us about the third method for folks?
Yeah, thanks, Dylan. So the third method is actually to download and print out a paper application and then mail it into the Emergency Broadband Support Center. For households to receive a faster response, they should really do the online method, either via the provider or the getemergencybroadband.org website. That'll get them the fastest response. So I would encourage all libraries that are assisting their patrons to push them in that direction before the paper method for sure. And we'll put a link in the chat to the paper application so everybody can see it. And Dylan has it brought up there too. So definitely the online or vendor provided one will be way easier for patrons.
Excellent. Thanks, William. And
yeah, and when applying online, as Dylan kind of mentioned in the last couple of slides, USAC will attempt to automatically verify eligibility based on the national verifier. If households cannot verify that automatically, they'll be asked to prove, substantial loss of income, SNAP statements, the Pell Grant award letters, anything that can prove that they are eligible for this program. And that can either be done, if they're doing it online, they can automatically upload it into that portal. If they're doing it in mail, they'll have to wait for the response from EBB and then mail that stuff back.
Absolutely. So yeah, couple methods there. Nice that they have a few methods, and like you said, William, I think really encouraging people to do the online method. I mean, that's where the library really can shine. Obviously, it's nice that they have a mail-in method for folks that just have no online access and are really using EBB to get that. But again, that's where libraries shine, is hopefully getting people that temporary access to fill out the online form without having to go through the laborious process of filling out a paper form, mailing it in, waiting for a response. Question here. It's a good one. All right, Allison, let me take a look. So I'm going to go ahead and read it out for folks. It may be a silly question, but if a household already has internet service, the EBB credit applied to their existing service per month, or do they have to start a new account for the credit to be applied? You mentioned that the internet service provider having to notify the household on the discount, and from there, the household will determine whether they want to continue to go forward. If they were an existing customer in a contract, how would that be implemented? So my understanding, and William, please jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that if they're already a customer and they already have household, they can still participate in EBB and apply it to their current plan. So go ahead, William.
Excuse me. I was gonna say that's my understanding as well. So if their bill is like $70 per month and they're eligible for $50, they'll receive that $50 a month credit, and then they'll just pay the remaining $20 a month through the life of the EBB program. Yeah,
but that's a great question, Alice. I'm really glad you asked that, because this isn't just for people who are signing up and don't have any access or anything like that. This is, and it's not an effort to try and get people to switch providers. If somebody already has a provider they really like, I mean, their process might be even easier. They have to jump through the hoops of signing up for EBB, but then suddenly they'll be getting $50 off a month as long as the program lasts, or until 6 months after the pandemic is declared officially over. So that's more money in their pocket without really having to do other than fill out this initial form. So that is a great question. Follow up, good. And does the credit have to be repaid or claimed on tax returns? Is there a penalty for persistence on the note? No, there is not. That's a great question, but no, since the credit is applied directly to provider, it's not like a reimbursement or refund provided directly to the individual. There's no repayment required. There's no, you don't have to put it on your tax return. There's no penalties. So really, I feel like the only real string attached is having to get through the process, prove that you're eligible, and then you're golden. Really, you're set to go. There's not going to be any gotcha after the fact. And like William said, there are provisions in place. If somebody signs up for new service or something like that, when the program ends, the provider can't just keep billing them. There will have to get verification that person wants that service to continue under their own dime. So hopefully they've tried to address a lot of those concerns.
And this program may not be perfect for everybody. Like Dylan said, if their current provider doesn't provide service under this program, it may not be worth the hassle for them to switch providers for a temporary program that may last a year, 18 months, or less. So it may, and one of the ways they might be able to get around that is also talk to the provider and see if the provider would be willing to sign up and be a participant in this program. So that way they're not switching providers and then having to find something else later on.
Absolutely, thanks. Yeah, thanks for those great questions. And speaking of questions, we are at the questions portion. I was going to share a couple of resources real quick. So again, if you're thinking in the library context of, how do we get people to realize that this program exists? There have been some news press releases. The public schools, I believe, have done a lot to try and start, and depending on your district, have tried to push this out for students. But there's not really any funding directly dedicated to outreaches, which is one of the reasons we're having this Info2Go session here today, is just to make you aware of it. And then how can you help push this out there? So just build awareness in your community that this is a resource. So a couple of tools you might look at. There are, first, the FCC's kind of official emergency broadband benefit outreach toolkit. They have put together here a variety of sample awareness campaign content. So these are all a variety of formats, and some of them both in English and Spanish, that you can use to help promote the program in your library or other community space. That's where we got the presentation here, the PowerPoint. They had that, so you could reuse that same PowerPoint to present it to some stakeholders. Some of those flyers are really great, and again, available in both English and Spanish, so you could print those out, put them on a table in the library or on a bulletin board, or you know, post it on your Twitter or Facebook. They've got some news releases, so lots of real good choices here to take. Just grab some of this stuff to use to promote it to your community. They've got in other languages here as well, beyond English and Spanish. They've got some social media, and then they've got some of the links here. And you also have the ability, if you want to have, if you're gonna have an event about EBB and you want someone to come speak, they have that ability here as well. But I'd like to follow this up with another resource that we have in addition to this FCC official resource, the NDIA, National Digital Inclusion Alliance. They have put together a variety of stuff for the Emergency Broadband Benefit Program as well. With the help of some of Connect Arizona, they have some more additional information. They've got some great other flyer alternatives if you would like to look at those in addition to the FCC's provided, both in English and Spanish. They also have a nice FAQ that if you want some more information after this program, you know, in terms of what are the specific details, I really like how they've condensed everything in that FAQ kind of for library staff or other staff that might be helping people with it. They have some more links to some other places to get stuff. And they also provide a free speaker service. So again, if you want to have someone come talk about EBB to your stakeholders, they have some more information about that as well. So just a couple resources, just, you know, even if you leave this Info2Go with, okay, now you know what EBB is, you have a couple places where maybe you can go print out or download a graphic or a flyer, put it in your library. You've done great. You're helping to spread the word about a program and hopefully helping people in your community access it. So that's really the main takeaway I hope you get from our presentation here today. So I'd at this point like to hand it over, unless William, have anything else that we haven't shared yet, hand it over if folks have questions. I will stop sharing my screen here, turn that off unless folks comes up. All right, we'll take a look at the chat here for a moment or two. Thank you, Annie. Annie has helpfully put us in a nice, comfortable, this looks like a great place to hang out. I wish I was here instead of my office. Of course, you're only seeing this if you're in the live event. If you're watching the recording later, you didn't see anything happen. So you're not sure what I'm talking about, but this is just one of those new Zoom features. So yeah, we'll wait just here another minute or two for any questions you might have. If not, really appreciate your time today. And I'm gonna really encourage you, if you have more questions after this webinar about EBB, to reach out to myself or William at the Commission for Libraries, or if you don't have our contact, reach out to Annie and she will know how to contact us. Because we really want to hope, if your community has a provider or two that has EBB as participating in the program, it'd be really great to see some Idahoans that could use this program, take advantage of it. And again, it's not going to last forever. It's just the $3.2 billion. They've already hit some of their early milestones since this has been out in mid-May. So we really want to get the word out and encourage folks to attend, to participate. The other plug I'm going to put in real quick here is that if you didn't get enough of William and I today, we are going to be back next Monday at the same time to talk about another federal program, but this one is of direct impact to libraries. The Emergency Connectivity Fund, ECF, it is addition, kind of supplement to the E-rate program that provides money for hotspots and devices that libraries can purchase directly, and provides 100% of the funding up to certain device caps. But there are some gotchas there. There's some interesting things. So if you want to tune in for a potentially very valuable program for libraries, but also with some interesting strings attached, and hear William and I discuss all the drama, just concerning that program, I'm encouraging you to come back next week. That's your little teaser to show up again next week for the next Info2Go.
Thanks, Dylan. Yeah, and if y'all have questions, please put those in the chat. I know it takes a little bit to think of them and type them out, but we are available. While we're waiting, I'm just going to mention that when this webinar ends, you're going to be prompted to complete a survey, and we are always interested in your honest feedback. And everyone who attended and registered for this will be receiving a link to the recording in less than a week, is the plan. And like Dylan mentioned, I'm going to share my screen, kick you guys out. Like Dylan mentioned, we're going to have another webinar on the Emergency Connectivity Fund happening next Monday. There's the details there. And then the following Monday on June 21st, we're going to go back to our regularly scheduled programming with the Virtual Facilitation That Rocks webinar, all about beefing up those virtual facilitation skills. So, thank you all for attending today. I don't see any more questions. So thank you so much for attending. And I'm going to stop the recording.